Hello and welcome to CHIASPORA, the show where we interview those who left Chicago, but Chicago never left them. We have an awesome guest today. You've seen him in a lot of stuff. Definitely you've seen him in his big show, The Bear. He plays Pete. You've also seen him in The Wrong Missy, which by the way, I had to go back because I remembered the fact that you were in that. I was like, oh my God. And you played a hilarious character, the Swish guy, right?
A Swish.
A Swish. This is Chris Witaske. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks for having me.
So you have been out here for how long acting?
Just hit 10 years.
Whoa.
Just hit 10 years living in this hellscape. Yes.
You're on a roll right now, by the way. If anyone checks this guy's social media, just got engaged.
I did. Thank you.
I don't know, are we allowed to talk about that role you specifically told me about via DM? If we can't, I won't say it.
The DM, what are you talking about?
Starts with the O, ends with a FIS, office.
Yeah. I think we can talk about that. Yeah.
This man's on the Office reboot.
Yeah.
That is, first of all, as most fans, I think everyone was a little nervous hearing that we're going to be doing a reboot.
Yes, agreed.
How was it on set? Is it feeling like this is going to be worth people who are fans?
I think so. So I just filmed. So, it's like a guest star part, but I think that so I was in the season 1 finale episode. So episode 10 of season 1.
Gotcha.
And they told me that my character will come back if there's a season 2. So that's
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's a recurring.
It's a recurring guest star. Yes, if they get a season 2. So we'll see.
Let's hope so.
But I will say everybody was really funny. It seems like a great cast. It seems like they were all having a great time.
That's awesome.
And so yeah.
I mean that's what they say. Those improv shows. As you know, Jim was here. Jim O'Hare was here, who did Parks and Rec, and he always said if it feels good with the cast. It's like magic that happens after the fact.
And they were letting me improvise a little bit and stuff.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so it was fun.
Yeah, so your whole background. So I think you grew up in St. Charles?
Yes.
But you did Second City.
I
did all the improv stuff. That's kind of how you grew up through acting. It was all through improv.
Yes. My dad... Well, first of all, he raised me on, like all the old classic comedies.
Oh, sure.
So Animal House and Blues Brothers and...
all the Second City people you had.
Exactly.
Yeah, your Bill Murrays, your Belushis.
Ghostbusters was huge for me.
Same with me.
Yeah.
We've talked about that on this show.
In fact, my dad showed me all these movies at far too young an age.
Yeah, right. By the way, you don't have kids yet. You just got engaged.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is that, by the way, you show some of these 80s, 90s movies. To me, I'm a little more chill. Maybe it's a Chicago thing. I'm like, the kids will be all right. But nonetheless, there's no way that most parents are doing letting their kids watch that other stuff.
My dad showed me Porky's when I was
You haven't seen that movie. There's nudity in there too, right?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. And like definitely some shady. I mean, like you rewatch some of these old movies now, and you're like, oh,
I can't believe they said that. Even Ninja Turtles, dude. If you haven't watched, remember the original Ninja Turtles?
Oh, yeah.
They had like a gay joke where the guy he made an assumption. There's like Casey Jones. They made an assumption that he's gay, and he's like, "No, I'm not like that. No way. Don't you say that." I was like, "Wow, things have changed quite a bit."
I showed my fiance Airplane.
Oh yeah.
I mean, still so funny, but there's so much stuff in there. It's like, this is like.
But isn't that weird? Times have changed.
I know, it's crazy, yeah.
I don't know. Part of me is kind of... I feel like it's the pendulum swinging at least a little bit. People are letting a few things be funny. I mean, there was a time, and I still feel like we're still kind of in it where, you'd be in an improv thing, and you'd say something, and people are like, do we really say that? It's like, well, you're kind of riffing. I don't know.
Yeah. No, totally. So anyway, so my dad showed me all this stuff. He also, what he did was my mom and dad bought me these VHS tapes of old SNL.
Oh.
So there's like
This is when you were really young?
This is when I was young, yeah. So it was like there's like the best of SNL 1975, best of 1976.
So you had some Dan Aykroyd, you had the classics and
Belushi, Gilda Radner, Chevy.
Do you feel like that's kind of what was the kickoff point for you?
Totally. So that was like, I look back and that is what was laying the foundation for me up until the night when my dad took me to see a Second City show when I was like 13 and, drove into the city. And my dad grew up in the city. And so he knew all about it and had been going since, the 60s.
Sure.
But seeing the main stage Second City show that night, and I was like, it like changed my life. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah. And then seeing all the all the black and white photos in the lobby at
I know.
Second City.
It's kind of like when you
amazing.
go to, it's kind of like the improv or the Laugh Factory or any of the stuff out here. You just see everybody, and you're like, oh my God, I want to be a part of this.
So, like, because I'm like, there's Bill Murray, who I've been watching on these
all
tapes,
these movies, and
Belushi, and so it like blew my mind.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So again, your dad gets you introduced in that. Were you doing theater plays or anything like that in school, like a young age?
A little bit, like definitely like making up skits at home and like making little home movies and stuff.
Sure.
And just being a general goofball, class clown. So I mean, I was always very like performative as a kid. Yeah.
And then, what point did you actually go to your parents like, look, this is what I really want to do?
Yeah. So it actually, even before that started, I started doing magic shows for kids' birthday parties.
Wait, at what age? Isn't that like a 50-year-old guy's gig?
I know, right?
Yeah.
So my dad grew up on the north side of Chicago in a bungalow.
Where about?
On Rockwell Avenue. Rockwell and Hollywood are the cross streets.
So he was literally right where where LSD begins.
Yes, right up there.
Right
Yeah. My dad went to Notre Dame High School. The parish was St. Hilary's up on the north side. And look at this. I have a photo here. So that's the
Show that right there.
That's the bungalow.
That's awesome.
That my dad grew up in. Yeah, that's me standing out in front of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so my dad grew up his whole life there. And my grandfather, my papa, Polish, by the way.
Yeah, of course. Witaske.
Yeah.
Come on.
Major.
Was he a plumber?
And so my papa was a landlord in Chicago, and he owned buildings all over the city and was like a landlord. And So he would also, my papa would perform magic tricks like at Thanksgiving and Christmas.
So you got like geeked out on that. You're like, this is awesome.
Totally.
Papa's doing it. We got to do
Totally.
this.
And so then he took me to there's a magic shop on the north side called Magic Incorporated. It's on Lincoln Avenue.
Yes.
So my dad took me there because I was developing an interest, and I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. So I started taking magic lessons. This was with my best friend who I grew up with in my neighborhood. And we put together an act. We had a magic show.
How old are you at this
This
point?
was like 10, 11 years old, 12 years old.
You were young to do this.
Yeah.
You're like, aren't you supposed to be at the birthday party just eating cake? And you're like, no, I'm on 5.
Yes.
That's wild.
It was like a whole magic act. And so that is what I always say was how I started in show business. And so it was I really wanted to be a magician up until I saw Second City, and then I was like, oh wait, that's what I really want to be doing.
That's awesome.
And thank God I could have been a freaking cruise ship magician.
To all you cruise ship magicians out there.
Yeah.
No, but that's like it's first of all, it's funny that you did that at such a young age. I want to know though, like, so you basically said, okay, I'm going to do improv. But when you were doing that, were you also kind of like I don't know, everyone's parents are different. Were your parents like, you gotta get we're blue collar. You're not gonna be doing that,
Right.
Or were they like, no, this kid's got it?
The latter.
Wow.
Because
God bless them.
I think that I know truly, really lucked out to have such great supportive parents who saw that this was something that was bringing me a lot of joy and something that I was really interested in. I wasn't the best student,
You're on the class clown.
Yeah, exactly. And my dad's an attorney. My dad, he's a lawyer, and I think. He kind of was like, he saw that this was something that was like making me come alive. And so I saw that Second City show and called the next day about teen classes.
Oh, wow.
And found out they had like teen classes. And so
13.
signed up. Yeah.
13
And then my dad would drive me into the city from St. Charles.
Wow.
The classes were on Saturday, and he would like drive me in like every Saturday. And
what a cool, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Are you the only sibling?
Yeah. No, I have a sister. Yeah.
Older or younger?
She's 3 years younger than me. Yeah.
Okay, so you were like the first test case. They're like, well, okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get a doctor. What does she do, by the way?
She works out here. She lives out here and works in like kind of showbiz adjacent. She worked for my manager for Naomi Odenkirk for a long time, and now she works in the music.
Hold on. So you're also related to the Odenkirk family now, too?
My Naomi Odenkirk is my manager.
But is she related to Bob?
Yeah, oh yeah, she's Bob's wife.
That's
yes.
what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So the Chicago connection is huge.
Yeah. In fact, funny story. I was performing in Chicago, and Naomi goes to Chicago a lot to like scout new talent, which is really smart of her to do. And she saw me in a show, I think at Chicago Sketch Fest or something like that, and she came backstage after the show and came up to me and she's like, "You're really funny."
Is this 10 years ago, by the way?
This was longer than 10 years ago.
Okay.
This was like, 20 years ago or something like that. And she said, "You're really funny." And she said, "I'm Naomi Odenkirk." And I said, "That's weird because like one of my comedy heroes has the same last name as you."
That's funny.
And she's like, "Yeah, that's my husband." I was like, "Oh, yeah."
Wow.
And so, yeah, she's been my manager ever since.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So she spotted, did she sign you that soon? Or was it more of like you kind of got noticed, she kind of kept tabs on you? And then...
Yeah, it was that. Yes. And it was definitely, I think she represents a lot of SNL people.
Yeah.
So I think she was like, "Oh, this guy might be a good fit for SNL." And I was like, yeah.
Did that ever happen? Did you ever audition?
Oh, yeah, buddy.
So how did that go?
Not great. I'm not on it.
You're not on it. No. Look,
No,
you always hear crazy stories about Lauren and the notorious stories of having to audition for that place.
Yes. I auditioned. They flew me there to New York, I think 6 times.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah.
Well, at least you kind of got through 5 where they were at least considering
Yeah,
you.
he saw me in a couple showcases in Chicago at Improv Olympic and saw my Second City shows, and at one point he kind of told me, it's a whole story.
That's got to be weird. You're like in Second City, you're like, the guy's here. The man is here. And everyone knows.
Everybody knows. Those nights were intense.
I'm sure.
Exciting, intense, nerve-wracking.
Do you like just ramp it up to 12?
Oh, yeah. Some people overdo it.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. No, like if you know the guy's in the house, it's like you probably ratchet it up a little too much.
What Lauren said to me one time was, he said, he was like, because my parents were there, and he said something like, "Your dad didn't over-laugh," which was good. He said, "I remember when I first saw Chris Kattan, his dad was like over-laughing in the audience."
Yeah, just to help his son out a little bit.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
But so you go through that. I know we'll get to Chicago stuff, but you do the audition 6 times?
Like 3 times, but they flew me there to like meet with him and stuff, and yeah.
Did you actually
So I screen tested 3 times.
And when you did that, did they also make you submit writing samples and all that stuff? Because you write.
I do, yeah, but no, this was just for like the talent side. So it was like they give you your 5 minutes to do whatever you want. Yeah,
Gotcha.
and people generally say do like 3 impressions and 3 original characters, but you can kind of do whatever you want.
I'm just curious what you did.
Well, one character I did was is what became Chicago Party Ant.
Yeah, which
was
is an
like,
animated series on Netflix you should check out.
Yes. That started as a Twitter account where I tweeted as if I were my actual Chicago ant. Yeah. But I did like an impression of one of my ants where I like put on this wig and this, like
oh
this
wow, the whole thing.
Yeah, and so that was. I did that for my first audition. I remember it was the first like character I did, and they say nobody laughs, like it's like just like a vacuum, like
sure. Yeah, that's what they.
But I started doing this character, and all of a sudden I was hearing laughs in the studio, and I was like,
"That's gonna be so encouraging."
It was cool, yeah.
That's really awesome.
Yeah. I don't even remember what else I did, but it was a very nerve-wracking experience.
I'm sure. Well, dude, SNL is. Here's the thing. I don't know where it's going. I mean, there's been hubbub of like how long this thing is gonna last, but. In the heyday, dude, SNL was everything. But to an improv, even now, I'm sure people even out of Chicago probably still want to be on SNL.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
still like the thing.
I mean, I grew up watching the VHS tapes.
Exactly. So I'm sure those people have the same similar thing.
Yeah, big time. Yeah,
that's awesome.
But it's 50 this year. SNL's 50.
That's right.
And Second City just turned 65.
Yes, I saw you post about that. You actually said this was my first. What did you say? You said something like, "This is my first home." I forgot what you just said.
These are the funnest years of my life.
Yeah, but it's pretty awesome that you went through that. I mean. A lot of people, we've had done like 26, 27 episodes. A lot of people came through Second City, and it was a huge, obviously it's a huge staple in Chicago. Do you still go back? Do you ever go back and like check in on like what's going on there?
At Second City specifically? Yes. Oh yeah, I was just, I was there maybe like 3 months ago. I did some shows in Chicago, and then me and my friend John Hartman went and saw the main stage show. It was great, and then we played the improv set. And,
oh, nice.
Yeah, I love going back.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
When you do go back, or nowadays, I always ask people noticing you these days, or people go, "Oh, you're the bear guy."
Yeah, totally.
Are they?
Yeah, I feel like I'm at a point in my career now where I've been in enough stuff where people are really starting to recognize me. Whether it's
what are you getting called out on most?
The Bear. I think a lot of people have watched The Bear.
Sure.
So that, and then I'm in all these Progressive car insurance commercials.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot too.
Yeah, I mean everybody's seen those. The Dr. Rick commercials.
Yeah.
I've been in like 12 of those or something like that. So I feel like
dude,
that's.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah, totally.
Again, that's also good money. It's like,
Oh, it's great.
You can't
Keeps
say
me
no.
alive. Yeah.
Exactly.
Truly. Yeah. I was on this show Love on Netflix
Yes.
that a lot of, it's
But
kind of like a
Chris.
cult show.
Don't you play a guy named Chris?
Yeah.
It's so funny. My sister literally said to me, because the character's kind of this nerdy, the main character is kind of a nerdy dude.
Yeah.
I had a movie I made a long time ago, my sister, she's like, yeah, I'm watching this show. This guy's trying to, this guy's making a movie or whatever. He kind of reminds me of you. I was like, thank you. And then all of a sudden, literally within the same phrase, I'm like, yeah, just so you know, I don't know if you're keeping tabs on what's going on with the podcast, but we have a guy coming on. I think he's in that show with you. And yeah.
So she watched it?
She watches Love.
People who watch that show, it feels kind of like a cult show, but the people who watch it love it.
Yeah.
Like people will come up to me and they're like, I've rewatched it 3 or 4 times.
Big thing.
And yeah.
I feel like seeing what I've seen from that show. I haven't seen too many episodes.
Yeah.
I feel like you do a lot of improv.
Oh yeah.
I feel like a lot. Like I hear it and I'm going, he's just making this up right now.
Totally. So that was with Judd Apatow.
Yeah.
Who
He's the king of all that.
He is. Yeah, and he really encourages he likes to get to shoot a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So when he then goes to edit, he has a lot of
Play with
options
it.
and
Sure.
yeah. So I'm developing a thing with him right now with Judd, and if we could sell it, I think we would do a lot of that improv. And
Does he have trouble selling these days? It's Judd Apatow.
I know, it's just it feels like a crazy time in the business right now with
that. It is.
Like, I mean, I feel like we're still recovering from COVID in a way, and then the strike happened. It's just kind of like,
And AI is probably hurting a lot of things too. Even with the strike, what happened during the strike, there were a lot of concessions made with the actors and all this stuff. But still, technology is technology. Something's happening.
I know, man.
I just hope people still have the thirst to want real. Because
same.
still want real. Like even music, and I work in music a little bit, and I like when I hear a real guitar.
Yes.
I like when I hear real drums.
Totally.
There's something about just like it's a visceral, because then you can see it live. People still want to. That's the weird thing. People still go to concerts like crazy.
Yeah.
But yet, like a lot of things.
I think we yearn for it. The real.
Exactly. It's like the same thing of people said during COVID I could have done this show virtually, and people said this is your time, and I said.
It's better in person.
I want to hang out with these people.
Totally, dude.
Because I feel like that's the connection that people want to see anyway.
It is. I'm so sick of... Remember before COVID, we didn't even know what Zoom was?
Yeah.
And now I feel like I spent half my life on Zoom.
There's a whole...
It's
funny is people talk about what happened with Zoom, even just like in the market. No one knew who it was.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, that became so crazy. Like we're talking stock price, all that stuff. And then all of a sudden, it dipped a big time because it's not as prevalent. But a lot of times, I mean, I've seen a lot of your WGN interviews.
Oh yeah.
For some reason, they had you on for like a long time.
Oh yeah. I'm a WGN darling.
You are, and I like how you. My favorite, by the way, and I'm not dissing all the WGN guys, but like. You're like Mr. Improv, and they're like trying to keep up. It's so good. They're like, so you're like, can I get a salary? And they're like, we don't even know if we have salaries.
I know.
It's so funny. It was just like, and you're like, yeah, guys, I'm coming in. You said one time, I remember in one of the interviews, like, I'll be the next Skilling, and no one said a word. I was like, oh, come on, everyone knows that guy.
It's really fun when you can get to a point where you're comfortable on those like morning news shows, because then you can really just like mess with them.
Oh,
and
of course.
They love it because they're used to like interviewing these like boring, I wrote a book about.
But that's what drives me crazy sometimes. Like, I knew right away from the beginning, even just watching you, I'm like, this guy's gonna be awesome. Like, you're just like a fun, chill dude. Yeah. Somebody go, tell us, when you have a very difficult scene in The Bear, does it come home with you? I was like, what? I was like, this guy. And I remember one of the things you said, you're like, a lot of people are method. I'm like, when I'm done with that scene, I'm like. Going to catering. We're just chilling. You're like, what is going on here?
I know, dude. Oh my god.
But it is. I will say that show. It does a lot of good stuff for Chicago for sure.
The Bear, yeah.
Yeah, I do wish they shot there more. Because from what I hear, and you should tell me.
Yeah.
Pilot was shot at Mr. Beef's.
Yeah.
And then everything else was shot on a set, except for exteriors. Is that correct?
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Are you mostly here shooting?
No, we don't shoot. We shoot all of it in Chicago.
Do you?
Oh yeah, there's sound stages in Chicago.
So it's the sound stages in Chicago.
Cinespia is the
Cinespace. Yeah.
Cinespace, yes, Cinespace,
yeah.
It's all shot in Chicago. Yeah. They do a lot of stuff on sound stages, interior stuff, but But no, I mean, I think that they shoot around town, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I did. Well, I've seen. I mean, you see a lot of exterior, a ton of that.
Totally.
I was just wondering if, like, from what I heard, they rebuilt the actual stage
They did,
of the restaurant.
Yes, they did.
So,
Yeah. That's all. Yeah. But you kind of have to do that because...
Oh, no. People don't... lighting.
Yeah,
You want to mess something up.
Yes.
Sound. You can't play that game.
Totally.
It's funny. I didn't even know where Mr. Beef was before the show.
Oh, yeah?
Didn't know about it. I've heard of it maybe on the periphery. Didn't know. I'm driving down Orleans, something I do all the time because my wife's grandparent is still there.
Live on Orleans?
Live right on. It's Wells, right down there.
Oh, wow.
So I'm driving by, and I go, wait a second. That's it.
Yeah.
And there was a line out the door.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the other thing. Like, I did not know at all, like, I assumed that the place is like blowing up because of that show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was just curious. Like, do you go there ever? And you're like, hey, and they're like, wait a second, you're the dude.
I've been there just once, and I've now met the owner dude, who's hilarious, who is friends with the creator of the Bear. Chris Storer is friends with the guy who owns Mr. Beef, and his family owns or whatever. But now it has totally blown up, and now it's like a Chicago tourist attraction.
It is. It is. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. Yeah.
By the way, that is another good thing I'll say about the show. Like, whenever I talk to people talk about Chicago, they're like, Chirac. I'm like, nah, you know, there are certain neighborhoods you don't go to, just like in LA, there are certain neighborhoods you don't go to at certain times. But, like, it's a great look at just how cool is Chicago.
Totally. You know? It is like a love letter to the
100%.
city. Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes, I wish I could say you were part of that, or the episodes, is when his best friend, I'm blanking on his name right now.
Richie, the cousin?
Richie. When he has to go and work at a fine dining restaurant.
Yes.
And he has to learn his way through it. Yeah. And at one point, there was somebody who was craving a deep dish, and they went to go Pequod's. And I was like, that is so awesome, so Chicago. We do this a lot on the show. Favorite pizza, I think you like a couple. You mentioned a couple places in different interviews, but I know there's a favorite diner of yours that's on Lincoln. I want to know. Give me the full. You go to Chicago for a day. What are you eating?
Okay, great. So.
Okay, great. I'm ready for this one.
The diner is S&G Diner. It's called Sam and George's Diner. It's on Lincoln Avenue. It's right by Saint Alphonsus is the church that's like right across the street from. There's also the Golden Apple is up there, or the Golden Nugget or whatever. But it's just like, it's owned by this Greek family, and they all are crazy, and they're all yelling at each other.
Yeah.
And you walk in, and it's like, there's like a, there's booths, but then there's like a counter.
Sure.
And at the counter, it'll be like a crossing guard sitting next to a nun,
sitting
next to a Chicago cop.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
just a neighborhood vibe.
It's awesome.
Yeah, totally. And they have all these skillets, all these like egg skillets. I think there's like 20 to choose from.
Why did that become your spot? Yeah. Was it just you just lived near there?
I lived kind of near there. I always lived like north side. But it's just I went there once and I was just like, this is like the best greasy spoon. Like, it's just a great vibe. And the food's great. I mean, it's nothing special, but it's just like the perfect, like, you know, hungover. I don't drink anymore, but I used to in Chicago. And it was like the perfect hangover spot where you can just all pile into a booth with your friends.
Is it open late kind of thing?
I think it's open. I mean, it's mostly a breakfast joint.
Okay, gotcha.
But S&G Lincoln Avenue, North Lincoln Avenue. It's the best.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Pizza is my favorite pizza is Paisanos. It's also Oprah's favorite.
Yes. It's a spot. But so you know, there's the tavern, there's the deep dish. Do you have a preference on all of that?
I'm not. A lot of people these days, I feel like, are anti deep dish. They're kind of like
they say it's not pizza, but it's pizza.
I know,
pizza.
and it's great. Like,
it's
so good. Like, I feel like it's been getting a bad rap for a little while, where people are like, it's a casserole. It's
the best.
It's great. So I'll do deep dish maybe like once or twice a year. But but tavern's probably my like usual go to.
Gotcha.
And Paisanos has a great tavern.
Yes.
They have it's like a corn meal crust or something,
which is why
buttery.
We've talked about it. We've talked about my favorite spot is Barnaby's. Have you ever eaten Barnaby's?
No. Where is it?
There used to be a few actually in the city, but there's one in Niles, one in Northbrook.
Oh,
in
okay.
the burbs now. But there was one right on Toohey on the north side where I grew up. I grew up in Rogers Park.
Okay.
I grew up on that stuff.
Dude.
Buttery crust.
Yes.
Dude.
Did you ever have Rosati's? That's another one.
I have had Rosati.
It's in a lot of burbs.
But I feel like Rosati's also just like a lot of pasta stuff too. I mean, a lot of these Italian things. I feel like I've had like more of like their catering, whatever they did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, great choice. Do you eat hot dogs?
I do eat hot dogs. Yeah.
Where do you go for that?
You know, I lived in Wrigleyville for a long time, so I feel like I'm partial to like Wrigleyville dogs up there, like across from the Metro.
Yeah.
Up there, they got a good Chicago dog. Byron's is up there. God, where else do I get to? Clark Street dog. Yeah. Sure. That's great.
So where did you tell me the spots that you live? Because you grew up in St. Charles. As soon as did you go? Where did you go to? Did you go for school? Did you go to college?
Yes, went to the University of Iowa.
So, that's in
Iowa City.
And then you moved back. So So when you came back, where's the spots you started to live?
So graduated college and then moved with my best buddies from college, my fraternity brothers. We moved right into Wrigleyville at the corner of Wilton and Waveland.
Yes.
Literally
like
right behind
right
Murphy's bleachers. Right there. Yeah.
Wow.
So we moved into a 3-bedroom apartment, Wrigleyville, and my room was like the size of a walk-in closet.
Yeah. We all had that in the past.
And it was truly just like college part 2.
Sure.
It was like, I mean, I could walk to Improv Olympic right there, so I was doing a ton of shows there.
Yeah.
The Annoyance was in Uptown at the time. I was doing a lot of shows there. And then, dude, it was just like, we had one garage spot, so I would... And it was mine, so I would park my car in the garage. But whenever there were Cubs games, I would sell the garage spot.
That is very smart.
Smart.
What did you have back then? How did you even let people know? Now you can do like a spot hero. What did you do then?
Oh, you hold up a cardboard sign.
That was it?
Oh, dude, I would take a case of beer and cut it, and write parking easy in, easy out, $25.
Oh my God.
And sell the spot, smart. And then I would go walk over. Like I would wait a couple innings and then walk over and buy a cheap ticket and go sit in the bleachers and use the money for beer money. It was great.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. And back then, you probably could actually buy tickets for a cheap price.
You could. It was still cheap.
Those days are long gone.
Long gone. It's crazy.
Do you go to Cubs? Are you a big Cubs fan?
Yeah, big Cubs fan. Yeah.
Do you ever do the first pitch?
I have a couple times.
Did you do the 7th inning?
I have sung the 7th inning stretch, but it was during COVID, and so I like taped it at home.
Oh.
In LA, and they played it on the Jumbotron during COVID.
That's so interesting.
I know. So I have sung it.
They got to bring it back. They got to bring it back.
Yes. So I have sung it, but I haven't sung it up in the press box.
Did you do that? Like, how hardcore did you do this from your living room, or was it like you opened up the window and filmed yourself doing this?
I should have done that.
You should have done that.
I did it from my backyard. I had my dog involved, I remember. And then they played it on the Jumbotron because it was one of those weird COVID games where the place was
empty.
Yes, yeah.
That is so interesting.
Yeah. So I have some.
I gotta find that now.
Stretch. Oh yeah, I'm sure it's on YouTube or something.
That is so funny. That's what you had to do.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I grew up. So my other grandparents, my mom's parents, they would bring me to Cubs games all the time, and I have like vivid memories of them. Like holding me while I'm watching Harry Carey sing the stretch.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
Great.
You got to do it, but now you got to really do.
I know.
I mean, really obviously, if there's another season, I don't know what's cooking, but they should bring you back for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What do you
mean if there's another season?
Yeah. There you
go.
Of
the bear.
Of the bear.
I thought you meant of the Cubs.
Oh no, that unfortunately that is coming back, but but for the bear.
Are you Cubs or Sox?
I'm a huge Cubs fan,
okay.
But I don't hate the Sox. I tell people that all the time.
Yeah, me neither.
I never. There are some people who hate the Sox. I don't give it. I've always supported them when they won in 2005. I was very happy about it. But no, I grew up as a Cubs fan. People know this. I have worked for the Cubs.
Oh, you have?
In multiple capacities.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
so
we don't really know each other.
No, we're actually best friends. But So what happened was in high school, my first real job was I was a vendor.
At Wrigley?
I sold pop.
For real?
For real.
So you grew up in Rogers Park?
I grew up in Rogers Park.
No shit.
Yeah. So I grew up in Rogers Park, and then, I was a camp counselor. I did a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I did odd jobs, whatever. You mow the lawn, all that stuff. But that was my first real job.
Wow. So
I always sold. I tell you, it was the worst job I ever had, and it was because. Slammin' Sammy was crushing it.
It was during that?
It was during that. It was like, it was on the tail. He already broke. I'm a couple years younger. I think you're like 42.
I'm 41.
41. I'm 39. So it was like right after, the big years, but he was still crushing home runs.
Yeah.
That was the only time I could watch the game. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a part of the,
you
watch,
watch.
get an experience. No, you're hustling.
Yeah, dude.
And like you're hustling with drunk people. It's not fun.
So you're selling Coca-Cola or RC or what are you selling?
Pepsi.
Oh, Pepsi.
Yeah, they were owned by Pepsi. And like, I didn't know how. Honestly, it was my first job. I didn't know how it worked. So like, people would usually the way it worked. It was like $3.75 or something like that. People would give me $4.
Yeah, right.
And like
keep the quarter.
No one bothered me. And I remember one time I was rushing around. Somebody gave me $4, and I left. I wasn't even thinking. I was like, I had to go.
Yeah,
Someone else was calling me. Whatever it was. This dude, it was like a college kid, chased my ass down. He's like, I want my change
for
back.
the quarter.
For the quarter,
bro.
It was, but it was like embarrassing. I was like, oh man, like I'm sorry, like I should have just done. But yeah, I'm not carrying all these. Anyway,
it seems like it'd be backbreaking work. Like
no joke. And I was 16. I was in great shape.
Yeah.
I was playing baseball in high school. It was like a real thing. I put so much Bengay on my body.
Yeah.
My first game was so stupid. I went with my friend, one of my best friends, Eddie. Shout out.
What's up, Eddie?
Eddie, holler. He probably has no idea what the Bear is. He doesn't even watch TV. But it's so funny because I did a doubleheader against the Cardinals, packed, standing room only, and my tray broke at one point. I had to have a fan help me reset it. I spilled on people. And it was double. I was doing, and that was 8 hours of work.
So, do you have your own section, or can you go anywhere in the park?
You can go anywhere you want.
You can. Okay.
You can pretty much go. I mean, it's kind of like, it's not like an unwritten rule, but you usually kind of know roughly where you're gonna be. But you can go anywhere you want. Wow. But it's a weird commission based thing. Like it was a weird job, and it was like. And like I said, the beer guys, some of those guys are lifers.
I know, dude. I know the couple of them are like, they've been there for like 30 years or something. They do with the longer hair.
Yeah. And it's either hot dogs or beer, and those guys hustle. And I was like, I literally lasted maybe a month, a few weeks, whatever.
Dude, yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
My body was hurting, and people were not nice, and it just wasn't and I wasn't enjoying the game.
Yeah,
it almost made me hate being there.
Totally, which you don't want. Yeah.
The only cool story I really do have that was really fun. Shout out to Eddie again, who has bigger balls at the time than I did.
Yeah.
At one point, we wanted to go back into the stadium when it was at night when no one was there, and he's like, "Let me just put my." He's like, "Just Mark, shut up." He put his hat in his bag. He's like, he went up to one of the security guards. He's like, we forgot our hat or whatever. And we ran in there. Nobody was in the stadium. Sprinklers. We went up to the top corner just to sit to just watch it.
Cool.
And we went, scraped the grass.
That's cool.
This was before 2000. This was 2001. It was before September 11th. Wow. So things were not as tight with security and all that other stuff. It was a cool experience.
That's great.
But yeah, and then around college time, I did video work for them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it just
very cool.
Went to the convention, did stuff like that.
I love it.
So got to meet some of those
My
guys.
other most I threw out the first pitch a couple times, which was amazing. But my other coolest Wrigley experience was the first game of the first home game for the Cubs of the World Series. 2016. I got, tickets through the team and went, the place was just electric. And then 7th inning stretch, Bill Murray was singing it.
Oh yeah.
And so me and my buddies like positioned ourselves like, upper deck, like right under the press box. So we're like this watching Bill sing. And then when he finishes the song, he started throwing stuff out of the window, and he threw a bag of chips out, and it went right into my hands, and I caught it.
Did you ever get to meet him?
And I still, I have met him. But
did you ever tell him?
Yeah, no, I didn't tell him, but I still have the bag of chips. Yeah.
Oh wow, you just kept it. That thing is rotting. Maybe not. But that's awesome.
That's cool.
That's a cool story.
Yeah, that's cool.
So did you ever again all those SNL guys? Did you get to meet them later? You were like all those Chicago guys.
I've met Bill at a charity golf thing where he was playing, and I was like at the Ryder Cup.
Oh no! Wow.
But when it was in Chicago back in the day, and on like Thursday there was like a celebrity round, and he was playing, and I remember he like hit his ball out of bounds, and so I'm kind of like walking alongside him, but I'm like behind a rope.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he starts walking like towards me, and then he like ducks under the rope, and then the next thing you know, he's like standing he's like my hero.
Yeah.
He's like standing right there in front of me, And I said something like, I was like, Mr. Murray, I do Second City too. Like that.
Yeah.
And he goes, and I remember he goes, oh, that's great. Have you seen my ball? Yeah. I was like, oh, I think it's over there. Yeah. So that was when I met Bill Murray. That was it.
That's it. You haven't met him since?
Haven't met him since. No. I know his brother a little bit.
Yeah. I've had some people here who are good friends with him.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Not Brian.
Have you had Joel yet? Joel Murray?
No, that's what I meant. Joel.
Yeah. Has he been on this?
I know. I want to get him on.
Oh, you got to get him.
Because he did Mad Men, right? That was that was his big thing. Yeah. But
great.
no. Yeah, I've had a few friends who were here, and they talked about him a lot because they did comedy stuff. They did Whose Line Is It Anyway? Does touring stuff.
He does Joel does
stuff.
that too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's really cool. But yeah, you can let him know to come over here.
I'll let him know. You've had Pasquazi.
I have. So funny thing.
One of my heroes.
He's the best.
Scared of him. I'm scared still to this day if I ever see
Why?
Dave Pasquazi. I don't know. He just, to me, he has an intimidating presence.
He does, but he's so cool.
He's so cool and nice, right? Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story. Recently, I have a cousin who's a lawyer who teaches at Kent College. Shout out to
Kent College. My dad went to law school at Kent.
I bet you he knows my cousin.
He might.
He's a big time professor there, Sheldon Namod.
Wow. All right, I'll ask my dad.
100% he knows him. He's
like, I mean, my dad went there a long time ago.
Doesn't matter.
Wow.
I guarantee you he knows who Sheldon Namod is. He's like
Kent College in Chicago.
Yes. Yeah. Sheldon's like his big claim to fame is he writes. He does everything for constitutional law.
Oh, cool.
And he's like the guy who writes the book on constitutional law.
All right.
For the country. So, what's your dad's name?
Ray Witaske.
Raymond
Witaske.
I'm going to ask Sheldon.
After
that, before you leave, we'll make a phone call. I'm sure he'll be like, "Oh, I know. Call him right now."
And I also want to show you some other stuff that I pull up on my phone. Keep going.
Look, we don't need dick pics. It's fine. This thing takes a weird turn all of a sudden. Look, why is there a Chicago flag on it? But yeah, so anyway, the Chicago connection is crazy. But it's also funny. Hearing and seeing some of the interview stuff you did a job.
You've done your research.
I sure have.
Very impressed.
I do know that you have one testicle. So the
that's not true.
That's
folks.
No, it's not.
I got two big testicles.
Yeah, they are huge. Before the show began. So the one thing that you and I definitely connect on. You worked at Ditka's.
Oh yeah.
And when you worked at Ditka's, you were a host and you were a server. I had the exact same trajectory. I was a server at Marcello's.
Oh yeah,
do you know Marcello's?
Oh yeah, sure.
It was right on whatever it was, Halstead and Lincoln area and North Avenue.
Yes, totally.
It's no longer there.
Is it called? Is there another name?
Father
and Son restaurant. Yes.
Yeah. So
whenever Second City would, there would be nights where Second City would like cater and like get us free pizza for whatever reason, and it was always from Marcello's. Yeah.
And I'll be honest,
Father and Son restaurant.
Yeah. So that's where I worked. I worked there from 2000 and so this does not have to be about me, this damn show. But I was going to say is I'm just telling you, we've never hung out.
Similar, yeah.
Unfortunately, this is the first time.
Yeah,
Now we're blessed.
Yes.
So I went to UI in Champaign.
Oh yeah.
And then I went to Columbia College. I transferred for film school.
Sure.
So then when I moved back to Chicago, moved in, grew up went in Lincoln Park. I lived right across the street from DePaul. That happens to be how I met my wife because we went to a party. She went to school there. I lived right across the street.
She went to DePaul.
And
you were at Columbia.
And I
commuting down to the.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So I lived right across the street from the DePaul campus. So when that ended up happening, I had to work somewhere, and I had a family friend. Shout out to Barry Brownstone. A lot of shouts today.
Brownstone.
So
great last name.
He really is. Not as good as Witaske, but pretty close. So he hooked it up, got me a host job at Marcello's, and then, ever since, I was there for years, and then I think you were at Ditka for a little bit.
Oh yeah, I was at Ditka's for like 5 years. Yeah,
and you got to meet him and everything.
Dude, did I get to meet him?
By the way, if he sat there, I'd probably have a heart attack.
Oh my god! I mean, I think his health. I don't know. I don't know how he's doing these days, but I mean,
I know he has some leg, or I don't know. Someone told me something once.
Yeah. I mean, he's getting old.
Yeah, of course.
But dude, I got to know him and his wife, and it was cool.
That's awesome. So you were doing that while you were in Second City. You were working there?
Yeah, it was the first job out of college. So I moved to Chicago and was looking for a job, and I had a friend working there, and they asked if I could wait tables, and I said,
Sure.
I've never done it. I don't know. So they were like,
You're
all right,
probably
well, we'll hire
really
you. Yeah, so they said, well, this guy can't wait tables yet, but we'll hire you as a host. Right. So I was like a host.
Right. That's how it usually starts.
Yeah. And then eventually got promoted to be the maitre d' of the cigar bar, which is up on the second floor. And that's where Coach hangs out. Yeah, and he was there like most nights.
Yeah.
So people would grease my palm to get him a good table, you know? Of course. And so I was in charge of seating the cigar bar, but then I was also in charge of making sure nobody asked Coach for an autograph while he was eating, because he was great about signing autographs.
He just wants to be left alone. I understand that.
Well, he had this great racket where there was a gift shop.
He had a racket in his own restaurant? That's hilarious.
There was this great gift shop where you could buy footballs or jerseys or all this stuff for, you could buy a football for like $150 or something, and then you could take it upstairs and he would sign it.
That's actually really smart.
It's a smart racket. Yeah. So, and he was cool about doing it unless he was eating, because then he didn't want to, if he's like...
of course. It's very natural.
It was my job to run interference on people to make sure they wouldn't ask him for an autograph. But there were a couple times where people would slip through.
I was going to say, we can use it on the Bears.
God damn it! I remember one time he said to some young mom, he was like, do I come to your house and interrupt you while you're eating dinner?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I saw some funny shit, but it was cool. It was a fun job. And then I eventually became a server and was not good at it, because I was always had an improv show to get to. Oh. And so I was always wanting to get cut early and just get out of there,
I see.
And so
I feel like you'd be the opposite. I feel like you'd be the energetic guy, look, hey, we're gonna have a good time now.
I was that too. Yes. But some of these servers are lifers,
I know.
And they're really doing it to I get it, you can make a lot of money.
Sure, but you had your sights.
Yes.
Something else.
I was doing it to supplement my income. Yeah.
So tell me real quickly, how did that jump from, okay, I'm working at Second City, Gilda, all right, not Gilda, Odenkirk.
Oh, yeah.
What's your first name again?
Naomi,
sorry.
Naomi Odenkirk,
I've emailed this girl before.
Oh, yeah.
Literally to try to get Bob here. But,
nice.
Yeah, but you get noticed for that, but you're still going. Where's the big break? And by the way, they're probably small breaks.
Oh, yeah.
How did it start? Was it a commercial gig? What got you going? Because you moved out here 10 years ago, by the way, is actually not that long ago.
Yeah, it's not that long ago.
I mean, I've been out here longer than you, and by only a couple of years.
Yeah.
13 years. But I just curious, what was the impetus for okay, I'm doing big enough stuff, I got to move.
Well, there were a lot of years where my dream was Second City since I was a kid. Sure. That was my goal.
Yeah.
It was I want to be on that stage.
Or SNL if you got it.
Yeah. But even more, Second City was my thing. And SNL was it wasn't even, I was yeah, right. That would never happen. But so there were years though in Chicago where I could have moved to LA. A lot of my friends were moving out sooner, but I really wanted to have that Second City experience. Sure, so I kind of stayed longer just to have it. And I'm really glad I did, because it was the greatest years of my life.
How many years was that total?
Performing on that stage. So I did a cruise ship, when they do
Second City cruise. Yeah.
Did that. Then I was on the touring company for 3 or 4 years, doing shows all over the country. Yeah. We got to go to Europe. It was really awesome. Cool. Yeah. So I did that for a long time. And then I was on the stage for maybe 3 years. And so, total probably 8 years or something like that doing
That's awesome.
Doing Second City.
That's awesome.
And it was just such a great learning experience. I really feel like I got my comedy chops and cut my teeth.
Yeah, if you can do improv, you can pretty much do anything.
Truly, dude. And the great thing about that place is there's an audience every night. So it's
you're constantly, you have somebody to play for.
Every night there's 200 people sitting there.
It's awesome.
And so you really get your reps
100%
performing. So Naomi and my agents were actually trying to get me to move to LA for a long time, but I was I'm going to stay true to this and stick with it. And so I did, and I'm glad I did.
That takes a lot of balls, though.
It was, yeah. Oh, yeah, when they were
you do have big balls.
Come on. I do.
You weren't lying.
And so then, but breaks out here, my first thing I booked was I had a little guest.
Or what booked you in Chicago? I'm just curious, how did it even start? Because look, you're paying bills however you can pay bills, which is
yeah.
serving or whatever it is. Where's the moment where you're like, I don't have to do that anymore?
I was also a preschool teacher, by the way, for 4 years.
What?
Yeah, in Chicago.
Where?
In Chicago.
No, like where?
Black Bear Academy. It was like a private preschool up in Ravenswood.
How did you're just like, I'm going to do this?
Yeah. I started as like a teacher's assistant, and then like they made me a preschool teacher.
That's wild.
And yes.
You must have been awesome.
I was a great preschool teacher.
I'm sure you were.
I was. Great, yeah. I mean... Well, once you start making money at Second City, that's when it's like, whoa, I'm making money doing comedy.
Gotcha.
That's a big thing.
But I didn't think that they paid that much.
They don't, but they pay you enough to
Survive.
Survive.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, but I mean, just getting paid to do comedy was that was the first time I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I got booked on the Just for Laughs festival. I got flown to Montreal to do like the new characters.
Yeah.
That was me, Tim Robinson, and Brad Morris went and did that
Brad,
together.
we've talked about this because what's his name? Matt Walsh is good friends with Brad.
Yes,
too.
great dude.
Yeah. And I've seen it. I remember I saw Brad very early on when I was interning in Chicago for different companies, and
So funny.
I'm surprised. And by the way, I'm never gonna I never understood why he didn't blow up like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those like journeyman working actors who's just been like working.
I've seen him in stuff, but but it hasn't been. I was always hoping he would like really skyrocket.
He was so funny on the Second City stage.
Yeah.
I was the assistant to the director for Mick Napier of the Second City 50th anniversary show. Mm-hmm. Wow, so 15 years ago, and Brad was on that cast along with Andy St. Clair and stuff. And Brad was so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
He's awesome.
Such a funny guy. Yeah. You got to get him on this.
Does he live out here?
Yeah, I think so.
Does he?
I think maybe he goes back and forth a little bit, but I think he lives out here.
Because, like, for example, Pasquazi, he lived. Oh, yeah. So
Pasquazi lives in Chicago.
So the reason we even talked about, we got into Kent. My cousin lives in a building right on, like, it's I don't want to say the street, but basically it's River North area or whatever it is. And I'm coming out of I'm visiting my cousin Sheldon, who's 80 something, and all of a sudden Pasquazi comes out and
comes out of the building.
Yeah, I'm like, David? And he's like, yes. I'm like, David, what the hell are you doing? I didn't realize he lived right there.
He lives there.
He lives in my cousin's building.
I feel like it's Gold Coast.
It's Gold Coast.
Gold
Coast. I'm sorry, not remember.
See, now he's living he living my dream.
He lives in Chicago, but he can work here and do whatever he wants.
I know.
That is the dream. I know. Trust me, I do this podcast, but like I talk to my wife a lot about it. Like, it would be great for the summer months for us to totally live in Chicago.
Totally. Split your time.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I've been talking about this for years.
We have kids, though. It's really tough.
Yeah.
But we talked about it. It might happen one day.
Yeah, same.
Real quickly, you're engaged now, though.
I'm engaged, yeah.
Well, she's not from Chicago.
She's not. She's a California girl. She was born and raised in Pasadena.
Nice.
It's funny. Before we met, she had never been to Chicago, and now she's been like 10 times.
Oh yeah, she's like, please, not again.
But she loves it, and like it's fun showing somebody Chicago for the first time. Because it really.
What do you take her to? What did you like?
Oh, buddy. We go to Second City. We go to, I take her into the Old Town Ale House to show her that. Walk around Old Town, walk around the Gold Coast. Lincoln Park, Cubs game, Kingston Mines is always on the list.
Yes.
Yeah, all my favorite restaurants.
Did you ever? I always tell people if they've never been, you should go on the architectural
tour. The best tour in the country. It got voted the best tour in the country.
Well, we did. Somebody never did. So we usually did it with the group. You can rent a little pontoon off of one side of the river. It's actually on like the south side of the river. And you can take it's so amazing to do.
And is it a tour guide?
No.
Oh, you just take it.
You just take
oh, that's cool.
Well,
that's not the architecture boat tour. That's just renting a boat.
No. Well, yes, that is correct. What I'm saying is, I've done the architectural boat. What I'm saying is, you have to start there.
Totally.
You have to know where you're going. You have to see what it is. But what I'm saying is, if you ever do it by yourself, it was the coolest.
I love this.
You should look into it. It's like the most. We wanted the whole family, but if I went with just my wife, super romantic.
Rent
super
a pontoon
cool.
boat.
They even supply you pizza.
Really?
Yeah. So you're sitting there eating pizza. They give you a little pizza oven.
Oh, really?
It's wild. But it's so cool. Yeah, I know. But that is the best.
Dude.
But you go back. You go back.
I go back
often.
a lot. Yeah, I go back a lot.
Just to visit family? Or
Visit
your parents
family,
alive?
work. I was just back because I hosted the Chicago Emmy Awards.
That was, by the way.
It's called the Chicago
you
Midwest
were
Emmy
jokes
Awards.
about, you're like, look how many people, like, I wasn't sure if this was going to be a good idea, but look at all the famous people that used to host it. And I was shocked, actually.
Yeah, I know, right?
There's
Isn't
some
that
big people.
Ed Sullivan, Bob Newhart,
Yeah,
Oprah.
Yeah. I
Crazy.
was like, look at you in good company.
That was fun. That was fun. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you did that, but
that.
I assume you made it a little bit of a trip.
Oh yeah, always do. Yeah. Spend a weekend, but
Where there's the family at now? Are
they're
still
still
in St.
out
Charles?
out in the suburbs. Yeah, in St. Charles.
Wow.
They're my folks are coming out here for the holidays. I'm picking them up on Friday at beautiful Bob Hope Airport.
Oh, nice, smart.
And then I think they're going to move out here, so we're going to start looking at places.
Oh,
while
wow.
Yeah.
Is it because they're like, you're getting married now?
Exactly.
Both of our kids are out here, and kids are coming.
They're waiting for
Is your sister married?
She's not.
Okay,
She's
so
not.
so
but we're both out here, so they want to be by us.
But I'm saying, if I assume since you've been a preschool teacher, kids is going to be in the future.
Oh yeah. Yes.
They're going to want to be here for that.
For sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
though.
so it's gonna be great.
That's
yeah.
really
And then
cool.
my fiance's parents are in Burbank, or excuse me, in Pasadena. So yeah.
Gotcha,
So
dude.
it's
That's
gonna be
awesome. What is your? Where'd you meet your wife? Just curious.
Hinge.
Hinge.
Ever heard of it?
I luckily never had to get into that world, but
We met on Hinge, and
How
it
does
was
that work
during the
when you're an
pandemic. So
actor?
we FaceTimed one. Yeah, I know it's a little, but I'm still, I'm not like.
you're like in the middle there. Well, actually, I
Yeah.
would say since the pandemic's probably changed a lot.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
But nonetheless, so you meet on Hinge.
Met on Hinge. We during COVID, and we FaceTimed once. It was like a FaceTime date, and we like hit it off. But we were both kind of, it was weird. It was COVID, and we were kind of both weren't in a great place to like date, I think. But then I followed her on Instagram, and then a year later, she popped up, and I was like, oh yeah, whatever happened to Eliza? And I reached out, and then we got coffee, and then hit it off. So,
So that's been 3 years now, 4
yeah,
years.
we've
now?
been together for 2 years. Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah,
dude, this is awesome.
I know, exciting.
Congratulations
Yeah,
on
thank you.
that.
Thank you.
Just got engaged.
Yep.
Do you guys already have all that figured out?
Working on it right now. We just set a date. We're gonna
Wedding
do it
here?
Palm Springs.
Okay, but you're not going back to Chicago.
No, we're not. I floated the idea of Chicago, but it'll be,
Well, her family's here too.
they're
though.
here. Yeah.
We got married at Navy Pier.
Cool.
It was
Wow.
like, I'll show you a picture of that. It was like
that's
the
great.
most Chicago wedding. And it was
That's
so cool. And the fact that we look at all these venues, whatever, and then my wife knew of a place. There's a place called the Crystal Gardens, which is like there are literally palm trees there inside, right outside where the Ferris wheel is.
Oh yeah,
And
that's
so-
great. Yeah, I've been there. That's cool.
Yeah. So we didn't know we can get married there, but we got married there.
I just for the Emmys it was at the Swiss hotel, which
Yeah.
is right there,
Yeah.
and it was this beautiful view of Navy Pier.
Yeah,
Navy Pier's cool. That whole area is cool.
they did some really cool
Yeah,
stuff
they did.
recently.
Yeah, it's
too.
beautiful. Like,
It's great now for kids. It's great for a lot of things. It's
Yeah.
awesome. Real quickly, what did you want to show on your phone? You said there's other stuff.
oh
you wanted
yeah,
to show.
buddy. Okay, look at this. So, not only was my papa, so also Raymond Witaske.
So he's your father's junior.
Correct. He was a landlord, but he also was like a toastmaster and like a host. And so he would like host things like at like the Friars Club, or like, he would
So they
be
would
like
call him as like an MC?
exactly an MC. And so here is my papa on
Oh,
the
shit.
field at Wrigley Field.
Is that? Oh, wow.
And so he's the one holding the microphone there.
That is.
And so he would like host. That's Dutch Leonard. He's an old school,
Dutch
old
Leonard.
school. And this was Dutch Leonard Day.
You know who we had Ron Santos' son here.
Oh, dude, what a great guy.
Yeah.
I've met
So
him a
you
few
met him?
times, and I've met Ron a couple times when he
Oh,
was still
wow.
around. So great.
That's awesome.
So that's my papa like hosting on Wrigley Field.
That is cool.
I showed you my dad's bungalow. Then look at this. This is like my great uncle or something, and he is running for the Democratic candidate
is this Al Capone? No,
for,
this is
for Senate in
What?
Cook County. Look at that.
Whoa.
That's like my great uncle or
is
something running
awesome.
to be senator in Cook County.
You are like deep
Isn't that
in the
cool?
Chicago world.
Yeah, dude.
This
Yeah.
is awesome.
My mom found all these found like an old box full of stuff, and yeah.
Whoa.
really cool.
That's like so ingrained.
So my dad and Papa, they all grew up on the north side, and then my dad at one point went to law school. He worked at a law firm in the city for a while, and it was too stressful, so he moved out to the burbs. and opened his own law practice out in St. Charles.
I'm telling you right now, before you leave, you should just text your dad. Find out if he knows my cousin.
I bet
he has to.
That's great.
That's so crazy.
Yes, so that's why I grew up out in the burbs.
Because he wanted to get his own law practice away from the hustle bustle.
Totally. And so, which was great. I loved growing up. I mean, St. Charles was great. It was like idyllic and, you know.
Is St. Charles the place? There was like one big like castle. Is that where it was? There was like, I filmed.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about, but.
Maybe, I don't know if it was St. Charles or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
I ended up having to film there once.
In St. Charles? Or at this castle?
At this castle, but I thought it was in St. Charles.
You filmed a porno in the castle?
It was weird, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was a it was a History Channel whatchamacallit, when they do was reenactments.
Oh, cool.
And they needed something that looked a little more like medieval.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to like. There's a train stop that is out of Geneva, which is right next to St. Charles, that goes right into the city. So we would. So in high school, I was like going into the city all the time on the train and stuff, and would drop you off at Ogilvy.
Yeah.
But I went into the city like a lot because my grandparents still lived there, and so we were always going.
That's
to the city.
awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, it's all that stuff where even like we were just said, even just being a kid and like going on a train by yourself, like
the best.
My oldest is 11, and I'm like, in a couple of years, I don't know if I'd let her go on it like the L or
You're raising California kids.
Yeah, it is different.
Thing.
It is a different thing. But I don't know, Chicago stuff. I'm sure people are a little bit more, I don't know, tight.
Oh, nowadays?
Too, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, but I always felt safe. I'm glad actually that
you grew up in St. Charles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, totally. But going into the city, I always
sure.
felt safe. I'm glad that my parents like let me go do shit.
Course.
You know what I mean?
No.
I feel like some parents these days are too protective.
I will say this much.
They were like, yeah, go get on the train. Get the hell out of here. Go have fun.
When you become a parent, you'll tell me what you feel. Because now, like I'm in the middle where I 100% will try to let my kids just kind of have a little freedom. But it's not like Chicago. Chicago, dude, we played in the front yard in our whole neighborhood, and we all like did
come
our
home
thing.
when the sun goes down.
That's what we all talk. Right. That's all what we did. But what I'm saying is now, like, they play with the neighbor's kids sometimes, but and they're also a little younger, But still, it's different.
It's different. Yeah, we grew up in the '90s too. It was different.
Very different.
Totally.
Real quickly, favorite Cub. Do you care about the Bears?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, besides the Ditka thing, did you have any favorite of anything?
I care desperately about the Bears, and they suck.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Oh, dude, this year's been really.
First year I
actually bought the Sunday ticket thing.
You did.
Yeah. What a waste
brutal,
of money that
man.
was.
Brutal.
It was,
so favorite? You want favorite all time?
I'm just curious.
Oh, okay. Easy.
Of all of them.
Favorite Cub of all time is Mark Grace.
Me too.
For real?
For real,
bro.
You know why? Didn't need the gloves.
That's right. And he used to rip cigarettes in the dugout.
And he used to go to like the Cubby Bear afterward and hang out.
Slump Busters. Now we can talk about. Do you know what the Slump Buster is?
No.
Oh, buddy, I can't say it. You got to look it up.
Okay. Why? He used to do something to try to get out of a slump.
Yes.
Was it with women?
Yes.
Oh God. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Heavy set women.
Oh, is that what he said? Is that what he said? That's what he said?
know about the Slump Buster?
I never heard of that. I know he used to mingle with fans.
Mark Grace, most hits in the 90s, the Golden Boy.
Lefty, he was the best.
The best.
I have a little action figure from 1988 or whatever.
Do you really? I have a pennant, a Mark Grace pennant that hangs in my office.
Oh, wow. But he is still my favorite.
The best. I loved Rhino too, Ryan Sandberg, but
you heard about that recently, right?
He didn't have the personality that Gracie had.
Grace was like a man of the people.
Totally.
But Rhino was Rhino.
Great. Oh, yeah,
By the way, bad news on that. He seems like, I don't know if you've heard this, he had cancer coming back. And
yes, I know.
Did you get to meet all these
guys?
I
have met him, yeah. Ryan is like an ambassador for the Cubs now, so I've met him at a couple events, where, super nice guy. But Mark Grace is my all-time favorite Cub, all-time favorite Bear, even though I was too young. Walter Payton's definitely. Yeah. I have a Walter Payton jersey.
Yeah.
Dude, just like watching his highlights on YouTube or whatever, it's
I do that sometimes.
Insane.
Just to be like, I know.
Right? So he's got to be my favorite Bear. I love Devin Hester. That was fun.
Yeah, that was. I was at Marcello's during the Super. My boss would not let me have the day off because too many people took that day off.
Son of a bitch.
But I mean, whatever. It wasn't worth watching at the end. But like, obviously anybody who came to the restaurant, I was pissed at them. But I'd go to the bar and just be like,
Yeah,
when
dude.
that first touchdown was.
Oh my God, electric!
Yeah,
I watched
I
that
lost
game
my
at
mind.
John Barleycorn in Wrigleyville. I remember.
wow.
We were like jumping on the tables.
Where'd you watch the Cubs World Series?
I got to go to a couple games, and then unfortunately, I was out here watching when they won.
I see.
Yeah,
I see.
they won it in Cleveland.
Yes.
I wish I was in Chicago though for that. But then I went to the parade. I flew back for the parade, which was really cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Favorite all time Blackhawk is Jeremy Roenick. Chris Chelios is a close second, and then Kaner is a close third. So those are my Blackhawks.
That's awesome.
Bulls, I mean, you got to go MJ, obviously. Yeah. My second favorite Bull of all time is Tony Kukoc.
My aunt, shout out to her, Dinah, she still sees him. He gets a tuna sandwich every Monday morning. And
where? In the burbs?
Somewhere
North
in
Shore
Deerfield or
yeah,
something
great.
like that. Or North.
He seems like just a great dude.
He seems like a so chill dude.
Yeah, totally. Survived fucking war-torn.
Yeah, Croatia. He comes out here and he fucking dominates. Well, you watch The Last Dance, I assume.
Oh, my God.
That. And when you're watching that, and by the way, it was the greatest thing ever. But when you watch that, and they're like, we just wanted to rip that guy apart, and he just watched me. He's like, I came in, I played.
I know, dude.
I passed, I won.
Totally.
It's like, this guy's awesome. And like you watch him, like Michael and Scotty's beating the hell out of him. And he's just
because they hate Jerry Krause.
Yeah. It's a weird drama, but like this guy comes out unscathed and he's like crushing everybody.
MJ is such a fucking psycho.
Did you ever meet him?
No, never met him.
By the way, that is still, even though I've heard a lot of interesting stories about MJ on a personal level, of course, but I still want to meet him.
Oh my God, dude. I remember hearing stories about back in those days, he would walk into restaurants in Chicago and the entire restaurant would stand up and give him a standing ovation.
Yeah. And he like literally just had to go to the bathroom.
Great.
That's all he had to do. He wasn't there for food.
Yeah. Then White Sox. My dad did take me to White Sox games growing up. I loved Carlton Fisk. He was playing back then. Frank Thomas, of course. Yeah. Huge. And then I can't think of a Chicago Sky player. That's my favorite.
I love how you actually brought that up. Does anyone know? I'm not against the WNBA. I just don't understand.
Did I cover all the teams? Yeah,
I think you're okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to promote, or anything else you wanted to talk about? Or?
Promote. Season 4 of The Bear will be coming out.
That's awesome. They got to bring you for pitching then, or the something stretch.
I know, right? Yeah.
Do you have a date? Do they have a date now?
No, I don't think they do yet. No, I bet it'll be like June or something like that. But we still have to film some more of season 4. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You can follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, tell everyone where to follow you.
What's my Instagram is WITOW. Whiteow is my nickname in college. Yeah.
Whiteow was it?
Whiteow, yeah.
That's awesome. But yeah, guys, please check this guy out and all the other stuff. I mean, again, if there's anything you want to promote, this is your moment.
Check out my Progressive commercials. I just filmed a couple new ones of those. Those will be coming out.
But you have to fly back to Chicago for those episodes?
For the Bear?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll be going back in, I don't know, February, March, something like that.
That's
so that'll be fun.
You like working with those guys?
Yeah, they're great. Yeah.
It seems like it'd be a fun set. By the way, if you've never seen the show, if you've under a rock, just watch that Thanksgiving episode.
Oh, dude. That was intense filming that. The Christmas fishes, when my character brings a tuna casserole.
Yes.
That was intense.
I'm just saying that if you were going to describe how good the show is, that is the greatest episode of one of the most memorable episodes I've ever seen.
I know, man.
And you were the fights, and you were there. It was
intense.
wild.
That was
really
intense. Cool. Even like in between takes filming that, I was like, this is too much. Yeah.
That's really cool, dude. Well, guys, check them out. And for sure, dude, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, man.
Great to meet you. I love talking about Chi-Town. It's my favorite city in the world. It's the greatest city in the world.
It really is, and I tell that to a lot of people. And you've been to Europe, you've been all over.
Oh yeah,
as have I.
Well, you know what it is? It's when you move somewhere. I really appreciated it when I moved out here because I've learned to love LA, but living here really makes you appreciate how great Chicago is.
It is tough in the winter.
It's brutal.
That's what I say in the winter.
Yeah, but that's I think part of it is it builds the winter builds character.
We talked about that a lot here,
and then when all of a sudden it starts getting nice out, it's like the people come
You always say,
out
if it hits 40 degrees, people are in shorts.
wearing shorts.
It's wild.
But I really think that that's part of it, is like you kind of have to suffer to appreciate.
I just wish you didn't have to suffer for so long.
I know that's true.
That's the thing. You got like a sliver of 2 months.
You know what people are saying recently, though?
It's changing, though.
That it's changing.
Yeah, the winter isn't as bad.
Which is awful because it's because of global warming.
Right.
But they are saying that the winters aren't as bad.
Yeah, I know. It's like tempting.
It is.
but I'll say, again, I think you also have to be at a certain place in your career where it's like, you can pull the Pasquesi. You could pull going back and forth.
Pull the Pasquesi.
Pull the Pasquesi. You like that, huh? Hear that? Hear that, Dave? We're using you as a verb now.
We're trying to pull the Pasquesi, buddy. We don't know how you do it.
By the way, it could be misconstrued
like
the wrong thing.
to pull his old
Pull the Pasquesi.
He though also had like this voiceover. He was like the voice of McDonald's for a little while.
And I'm sure that did well for a while too.
That helps.
Yeah, it sure does. well, I want to talk after this, but dude, thank you so much.
Yeah, buddy.
Check him out. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
This was great. Thanks for having me.
Have a good one. Thanks.
Yep.